At the Molson Indy, all eyes are on the Cascar prize. Robin Buck was the champ last season, but some other drivers would like to add their 2 cents worth. Peter Gibbons is the pole sitter and the 99 national champion. Al Turner's won 3 already, is 4 in store. And from Alberta, Kevin Dowler would love to roar through the East. Get ready for a little bump and grind. It's a full-scale battle. The street fight is next. Welcome to Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario for Cascar's Exide 99 Street Fight. Hi everybody, I'm Rob Folds alongside Pat Gonzalez. And Pat, they have dubbed the year 2000 Rolling Thunder for the Cascar series, and they are making a lot of noise.
Well, they certainly are, and this, of course, is a very pivotal race for these drivers. The first 6 races have all been on ovals, anywhere from 2/5 of a mile up to 5/8 of a mile. But now it's a whole new ball game as these drivers come to take on this tough and demanding Molson Indy track.
Yeah, they get a real opportunity to test themselves alongside some of the best drivers in the world. And let us talk about some of the storylines we'll be following. They're not on an oval. They're going to have to worry about their brakes here.
Well, brakes are going to be one of the big concerns. On the ovals, you don't use the brakes a whole lot. You tap them going into the corners. Here, you've got that big, long braking zone at the end of Lakeshore Boulevard, another big braking zone going into turn number 1. So the driver who wins there has got to take care of his race car. He can't overuse the brakes or the tires.
Well, you mentioned the tires, and they are new for the year 2000. They've got some slicks that are giving them lots of grip.
Well, they've shattered the track record at every single race so far, as much as 0.5 of a second on some of the ovals. Here, with the right conditions, they'll be looking at 3 or 4 seconds a lap quicker than they ran here last year.
All right, then let us talk about the setup of these cars as they come into this race.
Well, on the oval, you've got a weight bias to the inside. Here, you want to balance the car, try to get it very, very neutral. And of course, the other things they're going to be looking at, more air ducting onto the brakes, and really try to make the car so it'll go left and right and also carry a lot of speed down Lakeshore Boulevard.
Well, setup is important to get a driver's perspective. Let's talk to the man who'll be patrolling the pits, Jamie Campbell, and talk about plush surroundings. He's in the Cascar paddock inside the National Trade Center. Jamie?
Rob, thank you. You guys touched on the importance of a setup. The first 6 races of the year have been on an oval course, but now we move to a street course, and that means a different car completely. Kelly Williams, what are the difficulties of being in this car for the first time?
Well, it's a brand new car this weekend, and you have to hope that you have the setup bang on right off the bat as soon as you roll off the trailer, because we have such limited time on this racetrack being such a big weekend this weekend. And the other thing you have to worry about are the brakes on the car, because you're going so fast going down into turn 3 and also into turn 1. So there's a lot of variables.
A lot of your competitors have very little experience on this track, but you're not one of them.
They do. I've had the experience of being on the PPG Pace Car team for the past 6 years, and so I was fortunate that I was able to come to this track a number of times prior to this.
Kelly, it says right on the back of your car, girls kick butt. Good luck in doing so.
Thanks, and I hope to kick some butt as well.
Rob?
Well, Pat, Kelly Williams will certainly be in the mix, but who are the names that you think will be front and center?
Well, 2 drivers who've really dominated the first 6 races. Al Turner's won 3 races. Don Thompson Jr. has won 2. Both of those drivers are very good on road courses. They've got a good shot at winning. Robin Buck, of course, won it here last year. He is going to be tough. And when you look at the 3 drivers who've trucked all the way out from Alberta, Carl Haar, his young son Daryl, and Kevin Dowler, all of those guys are good on road courses. They could be right there too.
With 3 wins already this year in Delaware, Cayuga, and New Brunswick, Al Turner's a threat every time he takes the track. Last year's E-Season champ Don Thompson Jr. may have the momentum, coming off his 2nd win of the year in Chicoutimi. Last year's champion on this track is a highly regarded road racer and comes into today's race as one of the favorites. The all-or-nothing Peter Gibbons is this year's pole sitter. Last year's national champ, he's a definite front runner. The points leader from the West, Carl Haar, has won 2 of the first 4 races in that series. Carl's son, 18-year-old Daryl, may only be 5th in the West points, but the 98 Rookie of the Year is quickly becoming a contender. And another driver from the West, Kevin Dowler, who's looking for his first win of the season, had 2 last year.
Bill Darman is the president of Cascar, and Bill, this is the 2nd trip to the Toronto Indy. You were here a year ago. What kind of success does the circuit see from being at this major event?
Well, Jamie, a year ago, Cascar was virtually an unknown in the racing industry in North America. We're very well known in the oval tracks of Canada, but we've really seen a huge awareness now from last year to this year. We had over 70,000 fans here last year. It was a phenomenal event for us. We're going to see hopefully the same kind of thing this year.
Cascar's been around 20 years. A lot has changed. How has it evolved?
It's evolved from 5 or maybe 10 years ago with open wheel trailers. Now it's the monster trailers and trucks. It's an evolving process for us. We've really seen the teams come up to a level where they're prepared to go to whatever it takes to go out here and race at an event as monstrous as the Most in India is for us.
Should be fun today.
It's going to be fun today and tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us. Bill Darman, the president of Cascar. We are mere moments away from the Exide 99 street fight here in Toronto. When we come back, a feature on the championship leader, Mr. Don Thompson Jr.
Imagine a battery so rugged it can survive virtually any obstacle that the road throws at it. Exide Orbital, a new era in automotive battery technology. Just how tough is the Exide Orbital? Well, we've subjected it to the ultimate torture test. Physically abused, left unused for months, even punctured. You know it will start your vehicle if it will still start this 750 horsepower engine. The Exide Orbital battery, virtually indestructible.
Cascar Rolling Thunder 2000 means heart-pounding, door-banging, stock car racing, Canadian style. The Cascar Castrol Super Series. There's a lot of racing, but sometimes there's not a lot of room. So find your spot and claim it. This is crunch time. Catch all the action with the Cascar Castrol Super Series. Rolling Thunder 2000. You don't want to miss it.
Sometimes when conditions outside are less than ideal, satellite TV reception might not be as reliable as you would expect. Heavy rain or even just clouds can often cause a condition known as rain fade, which can result in the loss of your satellite TV signal. When this happens, you might not be able to watch the big game or a favorite movie. In fact, the only thing you might see is this. Cable TV, the reliable choice.
If you think NASCAR racing is only watched by hillbilly, Confederate flag-waving, American Yankee Doodle yokels named Clevis and Billy Bob, think again.
NASCAR is North America's most watched spectator sport. More and more people from all walks of life are getting turned on to the speed and pedal to the metal excitement. Experience all the action of the NASCAR Busch Series on CTV Sportsnet. The Nazareth 200, tomorrow at 10:30, 11:30 Central. Game day, every day.
CTV Sportsnet's presentation of the Exide 99 Street Fight is brought to you by Exide and by Castrol. Welcome back to Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario for Cascar's Exide 99 Street Fight 2000. Some great stories here. The East points leader, the West points leader. They're ready to do battle. Let's meet them now.
Well, I think Robin is going to be the man to beat. He has lots of road racing experience. The Oval guys have come a long ways in the last couple of years. I know last year I won the Edmonton road course race. Peter Gibbons won the Mosport race. Robin Buck won here, but the Oval guys are coming along. We're taking a little bit of schooling here and there. It's going to take maybe another couple of years to knock him off here, but I mean, if he has any little bit of bad luck, the Oval guys will be right there to take it.
There's a 1-2 punch from the West. 18-year-old Darrell Haar is here with his dad, Carl. Well, Dad might be a better racer right now, leading the West points. The two share a mutual respect.
My first race this year in Saskatoon, I whooped him good, and ever since then he's been a rocket. Like I don't know what it is. He's really fast. I mean, I can't keep up with him right now. I think if we have a really good day that I'd be able to, but I don't know, we're not very near each other very much.
He's picked up my performance on the track a lot. We work in the shop together, so when you're out on the track and your son passes you, you get pretty motivated to get back up front. That's what it's meant to me.
I think he knows a little bit. Like I saw an ad in NASCAR Illustrated, I think, with Dale Jr. and Dale Sr., and he said, "I taught you everything you know, but I haven't taught you everything I know." So there might be a little bit of that going on, but I don't think it's too bad yet.
Carl Haar leads the way in the west. Don Thompson leads the way in the east, but the man who leads the charge here in Toronto is Robin Buck, who is the defending champion, and I know you're just getting ready to head out to your car. This is the type of circuit that must have you licking your chops.
Yeah, it's a great circuit, and last year winning the race was special to us. This race today is going to be great. Tough competition, and if any indication of what happened yesterday, we should be near the front.
And your competitors, at least the ones I've talked to, concede you as the master of the street circuit. What are the subtle differences between racing on an oval and racing on a street circuit?
Well, the biggest is being smooth. You've got to be very smooth on the road course, especially on a street circuit like this because of the walls. We also turn right here, so that adds a little bit of a complication to set up with the car and everything, but being smooth, I think, is a key factor.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Robin Buck is the defending champion in this race and a resident of Oakville, Ontario. Rob?
Pat, we've spoken about the drivers. We talked about the tires and the brakes. Where will this race be won?
Well, it won't be won off the start going into turn one. That was one of the concerns when the Cascars came here last year. But they did a great job. Very few of those laps were run under caution. I believe 10 of about 37. Today, the drivers are going to have to be patient. They're going to have to conserve their race cars. The two spots on this racetrack that I think will tell the difference. If a driver's got a good balanced race car in the back section of the race course, he's going to make up some time there. And of course, on Lakeshore Boulevard. If they've got it set up nicely, he's going to be able to make up a lot of ground on the top end.
Well, they're ready for the street fight in Toronto. They call it Rolling Thunder 2000. We're ready for a little lightning.
Every time you turn your key, just think of what Blue Streak has gone through to make sure your car starts and stays running.
Blue Streak ignition products. Designed and built tough.
Blue Streak.
Imagine a battery so rugged it can survive virtually any obstacle that the road throws at it. Exide Orbital, a new era in automotive battery technology. Just how tough is the Exide Orbital? Well, we've subjected it to the ultimate torture test. Physically abused, left unused for months, even punctured. You know it will start your vehicle if it will still start this 750 horsepower engine. The Exide Orbital battery, virtually indestructible.
You thought driving a great-looking car would be a better way to pick up guys. Hi, guys. Hi, Mom! You were right. The 2001 Toyota Corolla sure doesn't look like a family car.
Sometimes when conditions outside are less than ideal, satellite TV reception might not be as reliable as you would expect. Rain, wind, or even just clouds can sometimes cause a satellite signal to be lost. If your satellite dish isn't aligned just right, then you might not be watching the big game or a favorite movie. In fact, the only thing you might see is this. Cable TV, the reliable choice.
There is a little bit of haze in Toronto, Ontario at Exhibition Place as we prepare for the Exide 99 street fight. And the weather could certainly be a factor for the 41 cars that will make their way around this street course. And leading the way, it is the man who is the defending national champion, Peter Gibbons of Stouffville, Ontario. He'll be the man to watch. He has got himself the fastest time, and he has grabbed the pole, and in doing so, grabbed some important pole points too. Kevin Dowler, number 35, he is one of the Westerners, Pat, who's come east to challenge the big guns on the road, and he is outside row number 1.
Kevin Dowler's an outstanding road racer, won on the road course out at Edmonton where these drivers will be racing next weekend. Put it on the outside of row 1. He's got a shot at winning it here today.
And in position number 3, Al Turner. And Al has been red hot this season.
Al Turner coming into Toronto with 3 Cascar Eastern Series victories. He was second here in Toronto a year ago. He'll start back on the inside of row 2.
Well, as the parade continues of the drivers, Jamie Campbell is our man on pit row. And Jamie, I take a look at the skies. There could be a threat of rain.
It was sunny for the Indy qualifying session, but the ominous skies have started to come in just in the last couple of minutes. What that means is this race has been called a dry race, so all the drivers can go out on the tires of their choice, most notably the slicks. But if it starts to rain, they will throw what's called a competition yellow. They will actually bring all the drivers in. They will have a chance to change over to treaded tires, and they will not lose any position on the racetrack. Keep in mind that Goodyear outfits all of the cars on this circuit. There has been a lot of increase in speed and a lot of increase in expense in operating on the new tires, but the speed has increased dramatically over the course of the year, and you will see a number of teams actually come in about midway through the race and change all 4 tires due to the wear on them alone. Rob?
Well, they like that stickiness of the new Goodyear slick, and that has been an important factor in the year 2000.
Well, they have just been shattering track records all over both the Eastern and the Western Series. As again here we look at Al Turner in that number 76 Intrepid. Of course, the Intrepid will race in NASCAR Winston Cup racing next year. It is in competition a full year earlier in Cascar. In the very first race of the Eastern Championship back in May at Delaware Speedway Park outside of London, Al Turner won the race, and as we said, he's won 2 since then, and will be one of the drivers with a great shot at winning here in Toronto today.
They are getting in position. They're getting ready for their warm-up lap. We'll come back with more from this street fight. Exide 99 on the net.
AutoPro, service always first.
Cascar Rolling Thunder 2000 means heart-pounding, door-banging, stock car racing, Canadian style. The Cascar Castrol Super Series. There's a lot of racing, but sometimes there's not a lot of room. So find your spot and claim it. This is crunch time. Catch all the action with the Cascar Castrol Super Series. Rolling Thunder 2000. You don't want to miss it.
A look at Ontario Place, very short walk away from Exhibition Place where they're getting ready for this Cascar Exide 99 street fight. With Jamie Campbell in the pits, Pat Gonzalez, I'm Rob Foltz. And as we get ready, they are going to challenge this track here in Toronto. And there's a look at it, 11 turns, 2.77 kilometers.
Well, one of the most crucial points of this race, Rob, is going to be right off the start. You've got 41 cars charging into turn number 1. Out of turn 1, the drivers will start getting into the gearbox, up through the gears, all the way turns 2, all the way down Lakeshore Boulevard to turn 3. They'll hit about 150, maybe 160 miles an hour before they really have to slow it up going into the hairpin at turn 3.
One of the big stories this week has been the positioning of Don Thompson Jr. He's starting well back on the grid. He had a flag incident in qualifying yesterday. There's his car number 4, and Jamie Campbell is with his crew chief.
His name is Conan. That's the nickname. His real name is Tom Bell, the crew chief for Don Thompson. Tom, tell me about the situation involving Don's starting position.
Well, we had a little bit of a rough go yesterday. We didn't get to scuff our second set of tires, which were our qualifying tires. Usually we do that about halfway through the session, but some bad luck happened and a bunch of red flags. We only got about 10 laps total for everybody, but we managed to get in 4, and that put us in 8. That's not a bad spot to be in.
What's the strategy from there then?
We only got an hour, so it's going to have to count.
They'll be charging hard at the front. Rob?
Well, Conan nailed it. They've only got an hour. And this is yesterday after the red flag incident when they told him that he went by the red flag.
Well, the situation there when the red flag came out around the racetrack, The procedure is for the driver to come onto pit road. Thompson elected to go back on around, and once he came in, they parked him for the rest of the qualifying session.
And thus he was a little testy yesterday. There's the front row, Pete Gibbons and Kevin Dowler, a great east-west matchup. And then it is Al Turner, 3 wins this season. Pete Van der Wist, even though he got caught up in some short laps, managed the 4th fastest time. We've got Kerry Mix, the Iron Man of Cascar, and he is next to the Western leader, Carl Haar. In row 4, it's Brad Jakes, and next to him is the man who is, let's see how testy he is today, Don Thompson. That other Haar that you see there is Haar Jr., Daryl Haar, 18 years of age. Joe Gonzalez is right next to him on row 5. In row 6, Jim Lapsevich, and with Jim Lapsevich, Rob Neely of Milton, Ontario.
Jim Lapsevich actually had the 4th fastest time, and he sits back at 11. Jeff Lapsevich's brother and Howie Scannell. The reason Scannell and the 2 Lapseviches are not there, Cascar has a rule, as we look at the rest of the starting grid, Beauchamp and Dilly, where if you had not done at least 80% of the previous 6 Eastern, or the drivers who came for the West did at least 80% of their races, you could not qualify in the top 10. So although Lapsevich was 4th quickest on time, because he'd only done 3 of the previous Eastern races, he'll start 11th. Some of the other cars as we go further back on the grid, Robin Buck, the winner last year, starting 34th. He had engine problems early in the week, and look at this, DJ Kennington all the way back in 38th starting position. He started racing Cascar when he was 16. He's celebrating a birthday today at 23, but he has got a long way to go from 38th starting position if he wants to finish on the podium.
Kennington going with a brand new engine. Robin Buck had oil problems, left it all over the track. Speaking to him earlier, he said, well, all I hope for is a couple of cautions, and I've got to make sure my foot is down and I'm passing cars.
It is the pace car of the Dodge Viper, and it is Ken Graham, former stock car and sprint driver, behind the pace car that'll pull onto pit road, so they get just the 1 warm-up lap here. Rob, the pace car is on pit road. Pete Gibbons and Kevin Dowler bring them through turn 11. They'll be looking for the green from honorary starter Brendan McGee, the operations director of Exide Canada.
We're getting ready. There's the green flag. The Exide 99 street fight is underway. Now here's the battle coming through. Number 1, and is Gibbons through clearly.
Al Turner through on the inside in 3rd. Pete Van der Wist up in 4th. The drivers were talked to in the drivers' meeting. Oh, and we've got a car into the wall. That's Carl Haar. Daryl Haar also involved. Big pileup in turn number 2, just as they were beginning to accelerate up Lakeshore Boulevard. And also involved the 03 of Jason McClellan, one of the rookie drivers. And the wave caution flag is out. And as we look to the flagger stand here at start finish, it looks like they may in fact go to a red flag.
Get it all cleaned up. That could be the case. A situation where you said it was going to be vitally important getting through 1 clearly. That was the case, but then coming simply too wide through number 2, and that caused the problem. And out of it, as you see the yellow being shown,
full course yellow as a result of this incident. There's 22, Scott Steckley. He is really smashed up. His Pontiac. Also involved was the 03 car, as we said. Joe Gonzalez, I believe, may have been another one of the cars there, but Jason McClellan, 03, the rookie. And look at the future shop car of John Restemeyer. That's the 27 car. He has really munched the front end. So under a full course yellow, as the field works back out of turn 11, Pete Gibbons ahead of 35 Kevin Dowler. That was the concern with 41 cars charging into turn 1. And it only takes 1. There's red flag at start finish, as we suggested, under a full course yellow in the Exide 99 street fight.
They're giving them a chance, and this is what you call bringing the equipment home, but not the way they were hoping. A little first lap fun at the Exide 99 street fight will continue in a moment.
Imagine a battery so rugged it can survive virtually any obstacle that the road throws at it. Exide Orbital, a new era in automotive battery technology. Just how tough is the Exide Orbital? Well, we've subjected it to the ultimate torture test. Physically abused, left unused for months, even punctured. You know it will start your vehicle if it will still start this 750 horsepower engine. The Exide Orbital battery, virtually indestructible.
AutoPro Collision. Service always first.
Well, if you ever thought there was a need for body work, this would be it at the Exide 99. They're trying to get this done as quickly as possible. That's Daryl Har also trying to get his car back into working order.
The front end of that race car you can see really crumpled. There's some concern that they may have some fluid leaking from the radiator as the 2 car of Carl Har has rolled down to the end of pit road. It looks like he may be set to go, and now the 71 car being pushed. There is the situation over at turn 221. That is Damon Sharp, who is making his debut, the regular crew chief for Pete Gibbons. Damon making his Cascar debut. And now the corner workers over there try to get things cleaned up. The 27 car of John Restermeyer being pushed away, and also involved was the 3 car of rookie Chris Fowler. That is the Snap-on Tools number 3 Monte Carlo that's sitting there on the start-finish straightaway. So a lot of cars got banged up, and they continue to work on the 22 car here of Scott Steckley.
And in the middle of it, that is Jamie Campbell. He is with Daryl Har.
Daryl, what a mess. Can you describe what happened there in that first incident?
Well, it just looks like everybody was going for the win on the forced corner. Nobody was backing off. We were too wide in there. It looked like the number 2 car got into the wall, and I did all I could to avoid him, but I got piled into in the back. Everybody was just racing too much into the first corner, but this John Deere Chevrolet was really running good. I had high hopes for today. Unfortunately, hopefully you can get back out there and make some laps. I mean, we got to be in Edmonton next week for the National there, so hopefully we can get her all repaired and get back out there.
I was going to say, you came a long way for this from Edmonton. It looks like you're about ready to go here. What do you think they're trying to get accomplished here? Just get as much body work away as possible?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what you said here, but yeah, this crew's great. They're gonna do as much as they can to get me back out there. I can't see from in here, but it looks like we're gonna have a lot of work to do when we get back to the shop. My only hope is that the clip's not bent and we can get back out for Edmonton.
We wish you the best with what's left of the car.
Thank you very much.
Rob.
Well, the front clip is new this year. They've got a fixed frame. They've been working on that. Now it's just a matter of getting the body work off, and if they can, to get it running again. There's Scott Steckley as he goes in the pits, and the crew quickly starts.
Well, we certainly banged up a lot of equipment with that first corner incident. And again, Rob, that was one of the concerns when you're starting 41 cars on this racetrack with really no room for error. There's the 22 car of Scott Steckley. He was the Eastern Cascar Series rookie last year, and it had some good finishes this year, but that car in need of some repair. The problem with the Har's car, it looks like the front rad has been crunched, so it looks like they're going to try to repair the radiator on the John Deere Chevrolet to try to get him back out here, as this race has been stopped with the red flag. Cars parked out here on the start-finish straightaway.
This is the best thing in the world right now for the Hars. Both Carl Har and Daryl Har are in. Carl Har is right at the top of pit road. He is waiting for the call as well to get back in. He's only got a bang on his left side. It looked like he got a little high on that turn, Pat, scraped the cement, got himself turned around, and was a bit of a T-bone. He looks like he's ready to go. They've removed most of the front of Scott Steckley's car, and he is lined up. Remember, these Cascar drivers will drive if there's just an engine and basically a throttle. They don't care. There are going to be parts everywhere, but if it can go around the track, they'll go around the track.
Well, with the situation here, the race does have a 1-hour time limit, so they're going to try to get the situation over there on the racetrack cleaned up as quickly as possible and get these cars back out on around as we go to the restart.
And it was interesting to hear Daryl Har mention it as well, because they want to get back and get started on that national tour. The 4 big national races beginning in Edmonton next weekend. Then it goes on to Calgary. They also have a stop in Moseport, and then again at Delaware Speedway near London, Ontario. That is what is vital, getting a good run here to set yourself up for the Nationals.
Looking at the 0 car of Howie Scannell Jr., he hit the wall here yesterday during qualifying, toward the back end off the car. His crew worked very late last night and into today to get that car ready to go. And now we see some of the cars starting to roll. Let's go to Jamie Campbell in the pits.
The defending champion Robin Buck started way back in 34th. Scott Fletcher, his crew chief, I assume it was a mishap like this that Robin was looking for to move up.
But we were looking, we did come in the pits in the first lap. We got a clutch problem and it won't shift. We can't get in out of second gear. So it's a mishap like this, but it hasn't gained any advantage for us. So we need to get him in the pits and fix it.
His competitors say he is by far the best track and street circuit racer. What do you expect him to do this day?
Well, if we can keep him on the lead lap after fixing the clutch, I expect him to be in the front by halfway, whether it be in the top 5 or leading it. So that's what we expect out of him, but we need to fix the car. So that's all I can say.
Scott Fletcher, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Thank you.
So right away they've got to get Robin Buck in, get a new clutch and the clutch repair done, and try to keep him on the lead lap.
Well, some of those cars were parked out on the racetrack. They're now making their way back on around. There is another one of the cars involved, Al Long, the Union Energy Chevrolet, as he rolls by. Pete Gibbons started from the pole position.
They're
Carl Haar
pull Long off, try to get that piece of body off of him. They let Haar go in. Steckley has gone in at the back of the field. As they make a lap around, we'll watch for green again. But I imagine without much complaint, Al Long will be yanked off so they can get that body work off.
Well, there is the pace car, the Dodge Viper, with Ken Graham, the pace car driver, picking up the field. Gibbons, Dowler, followed by the 77 Pete Vanderweest in third, Al Turner fourth, 03 Kerry Mix fifth, Joe Gonzalez in sixth. So he has moved up. Thought he was involved in that pileup in turn 2. Was not the 57, but the 51 of Al Long. Then Brad Jakes in seventh, Don Thompson Jr. 8th. That's exactly where he started. Jim Lapsovich and Jeff Lapsovich running 9th and 10th. That is your unofficial top 10 as we prepare for the restart here in Toronto.
And we'll come back with racing. They'll get Al Long cleaned up and we'll get ready to roll in Toronto.
Every time you turn your key, just think of what Blue Streak has gone through to make sure your car starts and stays running.
Blue Streak ignition products. Designed and built tough.
Blue Streak.
Imagine a battery so rugged it can survive virtually any obstacle that the road throws at it. Exide Orbital, a new era in automotive battery technology. Just how tough is the Exide Orbital? Well, we've subjected it to the ultimate torture test. Physically abused, left unused for months, even punctured. You know it will start your vehicle if it will still start this 750 horsepower engine. The Exide Orbital battery, virtually indestructible.
There's Al Long's car. It's coming in. They're going to do the quick repair, pull off that piece of body that is hanging out, try to get that back in. This helps out Robin Buck, who had to go in and get a clutch repair. So he has gone in to get the brand new clutch. They've got all the cars stopped at the start of the start-finish area as they prepare, and you see some of the damage there. Scott Steckley. I mean, they looked so nice about 13 minutes ago, and now they're in a little bit of trouble. Scott Steckley is running on a skeleton, and Jamie Campbell is with his crew chief.
Rob, it's a pretty simple procedure. When you have problems with the front hood, rip it off, and Ken Gropp is the crew chief. Boy, he was in that mishap, and you guys had to go to work very quickly.
Yeah, we had to get the body work off, and the rad's been up pretty good, but hopefully he'll be able to get some positions and keep up there in the points.
Will it affect his ability to race today?
No, the steering all seemed okay. It might be a little aerodynamically, but
considerably lighter than a NASCAR
should be all right.
You're in conversation with Scott. Did he tell you what happened?
Just cars in front of him got together and he just got collected up.
Thank you very much.
Rob, well, if you've ever traveled in Toronto along Lakeshore Boulevard, this is a common occurrence around rush hour. Everything's kind of slow, but certainly if they can get through the collision, a lot of people like to take a look just to make sure everything's okay. Then all of a sudden things start to move. They are still working hard, trying to get all the repairs done. And you see the pace car has got them stopped. Now this is a 1 hour time. They have 46 minutes left in their 1 hour allotment as they try to get racing again.
There are the cars lined up single file on the start-finish straightaway. They're still working on the cleanup. There was a lot of debris down on the racetrack over there in the turn 2 area. Carl Haar appeared to get loose off the start, Rob, got into the wall. A number of drivers right behind checked up, and when you're running that close together off the start, there's simply nowhere to go. And as a result, we had about 8 or 9 cars involved in that pileup, some of them obviously severely damaged, but the corner workers out here, they'll check over the racetrack. They want to make sure they get it all cleaned up before they let these cars loose again.
Well, the pileup in turn 2 caused the problem here, but a pileup of a different kind, not so bad at all. Immediately following it is the Epsom Cup Pacific Rim Rugby as Canada takes on Japan from Fletcher's Field in Markham, Ontario. That is up next on Sportsnet. And the action here, Cascar has really made a splash in the year 2000. They've introduced some new late model body styles, and here comes Steckley. He has done the repairs. They are going to get ready to run an air-cooled version of the car.
Well, that front bodywork that is all gone, these are fiberglass parts, are all torn away from the front of the race car. That's not going to help the aerodynamics and improve the top speed down Lakeshore Boulevard. The 3 car of Chris Fowler has rolled in behind Steckley, and there is Damon Sharp's car, the number 21. That is one of the cars that Pete Gibbons drove in the national championship last year. Damon making his debut. This was not the way he wanted to start, as we continue to show red flags all the way around the racetrack on a hold following the big pileup here off the start. 51, Al Long looks like he'll get back out here. They've pulled off some of the fiberglass bodywork on the Union Energy Chevrolet, and Al, as soon as the field goes by, these 3 cars will tack on to the tail end of the field. There you can see a lot of fluid and debris in turn number 2. The cleanup continues, but in the meantime, we're on hold here in Toronto. The bell, if you will, the second bell for round 2 in the Exide 99 street fight, waiting for that to be run.
We're ready for the go. Just as a matter of interest, 19 Chevrolets in the field of 41, 10 Fords, 5 Intrepids, 4 Pontiacs, and 3 Dodges. And a man who had to dodge in quickly to pick up a new clutch is the defending champion, Robin Buck. He's with Jamie Campbell.
Robin Buck is the defending champion, and this is not the position you wanted to be in, is it?
No, we've got a clutch problem, and we've got to get in there and get the tranny out and adjust the clutch back, and then we should be okay. But very unfortunate, very frustrating, but we've got a red flag, so it's buying us a little time, and hopefully we don't go down any laps.
It has not been a good weekend for the guy that's considered to be the top dog on this track, has it, Robin?
No, it hasn't. We've kind of looked a little silly at some times, having all the experience but not putting it to a lot of good use.
We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, Rob, they were late getting that car prepped. They had planned to test it earlier this week out at Shannonville. They didn't get there till Thursday, and on Thursday, after getting just 25 laps on the Pontiac, they blew a camshaft. They had to put a new motor into it, and of course here today the problem with the clutch.
Well, they're finishing the cleanup around turn number 2. They're trying to get some racing in. We'll come back with the Exide 99 Street Fight, part of the Cascar Tour. With Pat Gonzalez, I'm Rob Faulds. Jamie Campbell in the pits for the Exide 99 Street Fights. And this is the race order after about 2 turns. It is Pete Gibbons, the pole sitter. Kevin Dowler, who has come in from Alberta. Pete Vander Weest is 3rd. Then Turner, Mix, and Gonzalez rounding out the top 6. The question now is whether or not Robin Buck, the defending champion, get his clutch changed in time to get in on the lead lap. They had quite a collision at turn 2. Carl Haar, also the racing out of the west, out of Alberta, hit the cement, got turned around, and that started all the fun and games that has put this race on hold.
There you can see they put that Speedy Dry compound that does soak up the fluid. They've got the brooms on it. It looks like it's been pretty much cleaned up over there in turn number 2. But for the moment, the car's sitting there behind the Dodge Viper pace car, preparing for the indication from there's Bill Darman, president of Cascar, Steve Mifsud, I believe, down there as well. They're just discussing things down there with the drivers. That's Scott Steckley's car, and these 3 cars, as we said, once they roll the bulk of the field, 22 Steckley, Fowler, along with 51 Al Long, will join the back end of the field. 41 cars started here, and we look at the 86 of Kenny Forth, one of some 7 rookie drivers in the field for the Exide 99 street fight.
And a big crowd has stuck around to watch. The track appears to be clear. They're getting ready. They'll start them through, probably give them 1 tour to make sure everything is cool, and they'll try to get the ones that are in the pits lined up. They'll come in at the back of the field. As they all start to gather, that is Carl. Is that Carl Haar? Yes, it is. Carl Haar of Edmonton has now pulled in. He is the 4th car coming out of pit road. Robin Buck is still under repair.
And very shortly now, we expect the signal to go out here from race officials to roll the pace car with the Cascar late models in back. There's the 22 of Steckley. We mentioned Carl Haar. He's had an outstanding season out west, winning a couple of the Cascar Western Series races. And as you mentioned, Rob, from Toronto, they'll be heading back to Alberta, probably get in there about Wednesday, and then they'll start to prepare for the big race weekend coming up at the Edmonton City Center Airport, a road course that'll be built on the runways and taxiways at the airport that's right there in the city. There's the 71 car of Daryl Haar, as it looks as though they may have strapped on a new front radiator, so they're still going to try to get this 18-year-old Daryl Haar in the field. And he started racing at the ripe old age of 16, and plans later on this season to run some of the Winston West races. As I remember speaking with him a couple of years ago, definitely has strong ambitions to one day represent Canada in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series.
Daryl Haar, Al Long driving the Handyman Specials. Duct tape seems to be the order of the day. And if Daryl Haar can get back in after the massive repairs they had to do, it just shows you the magic that these pit workers and track workers can do. Getting it. Peter Gibbons trying to stay cool and calm, waiting to race again. Gibbons, the defending national champion, picked up his 4th pole of the season. It has been an interesting year. It was Al Turner at the start in the East Conference. Turner winning the first 2 races. Kerry Mix took the 3rd, and then it was Thompson, Turner, and Thompson again. That's the way it's gone in the East. Out west, Don Shirley won the opener in Saskatoon. Carl Haar has a pair of wins, and Kevin Dowler. And right now, this looks good for Kevin Dowler because he's in a fierce battle with Carl Haar for the West points lead.
Well, again, most of the races so far, in fact, all of the races out west have been on the ovals. The only western race on the road course is that national next weekend at Edmonton. There's 77 Pete Vander Weest showing a 3rd on the rundown, and Al Turner, who is 4th. Just a call here to the 17 car of DJ Kennington. He started 38, and he is now being shown by Cascar scoring in 23rd as the pace car starts to roll here on the start-finish straightaway. Pete Gibbons in back. We're preparing to go back to green here in Toronto.
1 lap of warm-up. They'll get everything going again. They'll put the cars that are in pit row back in, and they will go in at the back of the field. There is the top 6. Pete Gibbons, then Dowler, Vander Weest, Turner, Mix, and Gonzalez. They will be the ones to watch as they shoot out once they finish this warm-up lap. So interesting. It shows you now this has become the timed event. It was scheduled for 36 laps. They will have 36 minutes. There are still some behind. You're joining the crew, getting ready to come out of pit row. As you take a look at Scott Steckley, Kenny Forth is in there, along with Chris Fowler. He is one of the rookies coming through. And here come the crew from pit row. It shows you the magic that can be done. Steve Smith is also in the group, charging forward. Robin Buck, though, they are still working on that. What are they going to do? They might end up a lap down unless the crew can get something going very quickly.
Well, it does take a lot of time to change one of those clutches, and Robin Buck in all of the weeks leading up to Toronto was being touted as the overwhelming favorite, but again, Buck running into all kinds of problems.
Let's join Jamie Campbell.
I just talked to Bill Darman and asked him if he had a second to talk, and he said, unfortunately, we have a delay. Bill, who is the president of Cascar, how does this affect the race?
Well, unfortunately, this is what we call a time-certain race. We have a lot of other sanctioning bodies that we have to deal with, Jamie, so we're going. We have to go right till the end of the 4 o'clock time slot, and that's it. It's going to reduce the number of laps. The teams know it. We're going to scramble to get right through right now. We're going to go green next lap. We're not wasting any time. We want to put on a good show for the fans here and both back in the camera. We've got to do it. We're going to go fast.
You can't beat a sprint to the finish.
It's going to make for a very exciting race. We don't like this kind of delay, but it's going to get everybody going to make a good one for the rest of it.
Bill, thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
They're making their way through the rest of the course. They were scheduled for 36 laps. It was 1 hour, 100K. The track 2.77 kilometers. This is the backside of the track now. As they get ready to go, they will look for green. Now, how much care and caution will we see through those first turns?
Well, I think the drivers have seen what being too aggressive in turn 1 can do, and the last thing anybody wants here is a repeat of what happened off the original start. The one factor here is this one will go to a timed race, is that I don't think there'll be too much concern about tires, and of course no concern about fuel consumption. The pace car is on pit road. There is the work still being done on the 66 of Robin Buck. He will go a lap down as the drivers come off of turn 11. Pete Gibbons and Kevin Dowler side by side.
There is the green, and it is Gibbons. Dowler challenging him through turn number 1, and it is Gibbons who holds off Dowler, and still moving up very neatly is Pete Vanderwees. There's turn 2 as they now get the need for speed along Lakeshore Boulevard. They can open it up wide, but Pete Vanderwees says the one key about Lakeshore Boulevard is courage, and Dowler is challenging Gibbons.
Gibbons in the black and yellow Canadian Tire Chevrolet. Here comes Dowler up on the outside. He just cuts right across the front bumper of Pete Gibbons to grab the lead. Vanderwees 77 third, 76 Al Turner is 4th, but a much better job that time through turns 1 and 2 by the field of Cascar late model drivers. But Kevin Dowler of Sherwood Park, Alberta, just outside of Edmonton, has gone to the front. Pete Gibbons right there in second.
Gibbons not letting him get too far away through that nice combination 3, 4, 5, 6. They come up to the backside of this course. Sweeping through, Dowler, Missy Vanderwees, then Turner.
57, Joe Gonzalez having a good run here up into 5th, followed by Kerry Mix in the 0-2, but very quickly now Dowler trying to stretch it out as they work out of turn 11 and back to the start-finish line.
Dowler said he was very strong on the back turns 6, 7, and 8, and thought he could build on that as he comes through. Dowler, then Gibbons, Vanderwees, Turner, Gonzalez, and Kerry Mix to the Ironman.
Don Thompson Jr. has moved up into 7th. He came in here with a 35-point lead over Pete Gibbons. When Gibbons put it on the pole, he picked up 10 points and cut that margin to just 25. But Thompson having a good run here in 7th.
Points vitally important. You do pick up points for being the lap leader. You get points throughout this in qualifying, and there's 162 points for a victory. And diving inside and making the move was Joe Gonzalez.
Also had a pass there by the number 23 car of Jeff Lapsovich. He has taken over 7th.
As we follow through this track, car number 57 pushing his way through Joe Gonzalez.
And Gonzalez is having that fight with Kerry Mix. Here is number 1, Pete Gibbons, staying right with Kevin Dowler.
Dowler let that get wide as he went high on it and almost lost it.
Kevin Dowler pushing hard through the 9th, 10th, and 11th turns here on the track. Out of turn 11, they'll work back to the start-finish line. Pete Gibbons is right there, 77. That is Pete Vanderweest, and then Al Turner in the Intrepid. And now a bit of a gap starting to open up between the front-running 4 cars and the rest of the field as they work off a turn 2 and back on a Lakeshore Boulevard.
Good look there at the speed they pick up. And there is Kevin Dowler being chased by Pete Gibbons. Peter Vanderweest is in 3rd place. Al Turner is in 4th.
We've got a Ford running up front with Dowler, then the Chevrolet of Gibbons, another Chevrolet for Vanderweest 77, and then Al Turner in the Intrepid. 5th and 6th going through, and Jeff Lapsovich, The new 7th place driver, Don Thompson Jr. in 8:25. Jeff Lapsevich is 9th.
And this is not good for Daryl Haar. He is out of the car. His day is over.
That's a long way to come for just a handful of laps here in Toronto. They travel about 50 hours to get here. And, of course, it'll be a much longer trip back to Edmonton.
Number 4 car, Don Thompson Jr.'s Home Hardware Chevrolet. He is trying to get himself back up into the field. Oh, got a problem already. Car number 41, that is John Samaras of Toronto.
He has overshot the end of Lakeshore Boulevard going down the escape road. As we look at the race here for 7th, 8th, and 9th, 23, Jeff Lapsevich, a very experienced road racer who ran here a number of years ago in the old Players Limited GM Motorsports Series in that silver 23 Ford, is running in 7th, then Thompson in 8th, and then Jeff's brother Jim Lapsevich, who runs in 9th.
Ron Beauchamp Jr. is rounding out the top 10 in car number 60, coming too wide around the corner. That is Brad Jakes in car number 99.
That's a great race for 11th, 12th, and 13th. There's Jakes in the Exide Batteries Intrepid. 64, Mark Dilley is in that blue NTN Bearings Ford. And then Kelly Williams, 31, the young lady up into 13th. So she has picked up several positions from where she started on the grid.
Moving up 5 is Kelly Williams. She is running a limited schedule because of sponsorship, but certainly in the fight. Look at the battle right there as the 3 cars come through this weave.
That is turns 4 and 5, very tight through here. Not any kind of an opportunity to make a pass. And this is on the backside of the race course. Meanwhile, up front, Dowler, 35, continues to lead this quartet of drivers, and he is just letting it all hang out. The back end's hanging out as he works through turn number 9.
Well, Daryl Haar got in some trouble on lap 1. They did some repairs, got him back rolling, but not enough to keep him in the race. He's with Jamie Campbell.
Daryl Haar, it took me 4 days once to drive from Edmonton to Toronto. You did so and only got a couple of laps in. This has not been the kind of weekend you were looking for.
No, it hasn't. We had an early engine failure in practice, and we didn't get the qualifying we wanted either. But I was really looking forward to the race. I mean, the guys worked we got up really early this morning, and they worked all morning, changing transmission, changing the clutch. The car was really ready to go, and I was really confident going into the first turn, but unfortunately we had a stock car racing, like they say, and some guys got together and we just had nowhere to go.
And now we pack it up and head right back to Edmonton. There's a race there next weekend.
Yeah, the Cascar National race is back in Edmonton next weekend. I'd like to say hello to my mom and my sister and everybody back at home watching. I guess we'll have to go there, and they don't have walls there, so we'll have a little bit more room. Hopefully won't wreck the car there as much, so we'll have to see how we do there.
Best of luck there, Daryl.
Thank you very much.
You saw in the screen, you saw Rob Neely and Chris Fowler doing a little bumping. That was through turn number 3 and into 4.
Here is the front-running group. Pete Gibbons trying to hold off the 77 Loctite Chevrolet of Pete Vanderweest, as Dowler now has stretched out a few car lengths over Pete Gibbons. And so what was a fairly tight-packed front-running force starting to string out as Kevin Dowler tries to pull the breakaway some 7 laps into the event.
It's over Kevin Dowler from Edmonton, Alberta, who started the season by coming east and racing at Delaware Speedway outside of London. He is certainly in charge, and you see the back end of car number 97, Rob Neely, and he has some fluid leaking as well. They'll get him off and out of the way.
The damage to that car, a result of the incident going into the hairpin at turn number 3. And it looks like they have cleaned up, still showing the red and yellow slippery course flag. Robin Buck still parked on pit road. He is several laps down. So his shot at maybe going back-to-back here in Toronto, it looked promising coming in, but with all the problems that they had, he continues to sit there, and he's going to finish well back in the rundown.
Now for Peter Gibbons, he's certainly taken advantage of the turns as he has narrowed the gap on Kevin Dowler. Pete Vanderweest is keeping things close, and don't count out Al Turner. This is a fellow who went from 34th in Delaware and charged and took the victory, the first win of the season, first of 3 for Turner in the year 2000.
Al Turner, a firefighter here in Toronto during the weekend. Oh, problems with the 31 car of Kelly Williams, and there's fire on board the 31 car as she is parked up against the wall and now does get it refired. It looks like that fire has in fact gone out, a little bit of a flash fire, but it looks like Kelly has hit the wall and damaged the right front. And that is in the backside of the course, just on the exit of turn 5.
Course worker taking a look to see if there's any debris, and look at everybody come through. There is Gibbons second, and now a challenge by the blue streak belonging to Al Turner. Turner moves into third.
Great move by Turner, drafting down Lakeshore Boulevard, pulls the slingshot, and has moved around Pete Vanderwees to take over third. Remember, Turner was second a buck a year ago, and there is rookie Chris Fowler. He has stuck it hard into the wall.
And he has had trouble as he ran into the car belonging to Rob Neely, and now he is, well, the green flag is still out. He is out of the way. He's trying to move along and stay out of everybody's way, and it just shows you how these cars can continue to go. He moves out of the way for the lead 4.
Nice bit of driving there by Chris Fowler, the rookie driver, as the front-running 4 cars come through. They had spread out there for a while, but now they've tightened it back up. Pete Gibbons reeling back in. The 35 Ford Quality Care Taurus of Kevin Dowler out of turn 11. Back to the stripe. Al Turner 76 third, 77. Pete Vanderwees runs fourth.
Well, for Peter Gibbons, he's from Stouffville, Ontario, but has a shop in North Carolina as he eyes towards perhaps running in a series down south, using Cascar now to develop his skills. There is Don Thompson Jr. He was involved in a red flag incident yesterday during qualifying, started 8th on the grid, and he is now starting to move. He is in 8th still, but has certainly got a little room yet. He is the points leader in the East.
The front-running 4 cars. Dowler tries to stretch out a little bit of a lead. Oh, and a problem here with the 98 car of David Whitlock. He has spun in turn 1, gets it turned around, did a nice job of keeping it off the wall, and will continue on down Lakeshore Boulevard.
And up and rolling again is Whitlock, and another slow down here. That is the Exide car. Is that Brad Jakes? Yes.
Brad Jakes through turn 4, and some of these drivers getting a little bit too hot into that third turn at the end of Lakeshore Boulevard. Here it is in turn 1. That was the incident with Dave Whitlock as he looped it around. DJ Kennington getting through on the inside. And on Lakeshore Boulevard, we've got smoke coming from one of the cars at 75, Stevie Smith, and he will go down the escape road at the end of Lakeshore.
Wisely moves out of the way so the front runners can continue to roll. Dowler, Gibbons, Turner, Vanderwees, Mix, and Gonzalez. As they come through, that's the top 6. Then the remaining positions, the 2 Lapsovich cars are running very well. Thompson in between Beauchamp, Dilly, and Jakes.
Showing the oil flag there on Lakeshore Boulevard, so there may be a bit of the oil from the car of Stevie Smith on the racetrack. The front-running 4 cars are through as they have clearly broken away from Kerry Mix 02, who's running 5th, Joe Gonzalez, the Lapsovich brothers, Jim running in 7th, Jeff in 9th, and sandwich in between that at number 4, Home Hardware Chevrolet of Don Thompson Jr. in 8th.
That this being a time race now because of the problems off lap number 1. The theory of these drivers is to just try to take every advantage possible.
Well, look at them come into turn number 8. There's sections of the racetrack where Dowler is able to stretch out a few car lengths. He is quicker in that portion of the racetrack, but then there's Gibbons, a little different line going through turn 10, and he's able to close it back up. The problem that the drivers are going to start to have very, very shortly now, they are going to get into the back of the slower cars as they lap up through the field. And Al Turner looking very strong, takes a look on the inside of Pete Gibbons into turn 1. Gibbons right there, and oh, they touch and Turner spins.
Turner has spun as they tried to get around Al Long. Long didn't want to get in the mix here, and it cost Turner, who got himself turned around.
Al Turner parked just off of the inside of the curbing there. He has damaged the front end of the car. He tried to squeeze by on the inside of Pete Gibbons. There was very little room there. The 2 cars touch. Turner spins. And the driver who was second here in Toronto a year ago with 3 victories already this year does not look as though he's going to come out of here with good points.
So Gibbons dove in, and there was Turner, had no place to go.
Got chopped off up onto the curbing. And here is a look at the 88 car of Dave Jacobs, the speedy Auto Service Ford Taurus, as he backs it into the wall in the turn 5 area. So Kevin Dowler, your leader, 1, Pete Gibbons in second, Van der Weest in the 77 car up to third.
That is a back marker, car number 51. That is Al Long, who is now riding in there, and that is what everybody else has to battle now. Traffic starts to become very important later in the race. And for Dowler, it could either be an advantage or a disadvantage. If Dowler can't get a little separation, all of a sudden Gibbons can maybe use it to rocket by.
Looking at a great battle here for 5th, 6th, and 7th as they go through. In fact, moving up now into 4th is the 02 car of Kerry Mix, then Joe Gonzalez 57 in 5th, 25, Jim Lapsovich in 6th.
And smoke coming out of,
I believe that's the 56 car of John Fletcher. So a problem here with the engine as he rolls off of turn 11 and back across the line. May just have been a tire problem. 57 Joe Gonzalez just about ran into the back of Kerry Mix. Jimmy Lapsovich is right there, and that is the three-way fight for 4th, 5th, and 6th. These drivers know that each position pays a few more championship points. Here it is on Lakeshore Boulevard.
And it could have been a little love tap there as they were making it into that braking zone just before turn number 3.
Amazing piece of car control by Joe Gonzalez as he got tapped by Jim Lapsovich under braking, and the car weaved back and forth, but he was able to gather it up.
Pete Van der Weest is riding very strong in 3rd position. Here they come through again, getting through the final turns, back through the start-finish area through turn 11. And look at the room that they've started to open up. Kevin Dowler, who started outside row 1 leading. Pete Gibbons, the pole sitter, 2nd. Then Van der Weest is 3rd.
Well, this is reminiscent of the battle a year ago, Rob, when Al Turner, along with Billy Rouse Jr. and Robin Buck, had a go at it, but none of those drivers part of the big battle here today as the Al Turner car is on pit road. They've got the hood up, and there you can see the big tire mark on the side of the car where he came into contact with Pete Gibbons.
And watch the replay here. Ooh, holding on tight, Pete Van der Weest.
Nice job of Van der Weest there going into turn 8, locked it up, and he's got some catching up to do. 35, Kevin Dowler is your race leader. Pete Gibbons in the number 1 car running 2nd, and then Van der Weest trying to play catch-up in 3rd.
Kevin Dowler's been running strong all afternoon, and Jamie Campbell's with his crew.
His crew chief is John Crampson. I gather when he passes by in the lead, you guys applaud. Is that a ritual?
Well, in a race like this, it is. It's a big race. We only see the car every minute and 20 seconds, so yeah, it's kind of a ritual.
John, you guys have tested this car in Calgary, so you know the car well. Has that been an advantage today?
I think it helped a bit, yeah. Like we were better prepared than some of the others, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Kevin Dowler made a point of coming east to race at the Delaware Speedway. He said he wanted to get some racing in. And look at the challenge here by Gibbons on Dowler. He's got him.
Gibbons trying the same move that Turner tried on him. He makes it stick. And they're bumper to bumper off of turn 2 as they work down the back straightaway. 77, Van der Weest will close it up. Dowler in the draft of Gibbons as they run down Lakeshore. Gibbons reportedly with one of the strongest motors of any of the competitors. Dowler will try him up on the outside into the hairpin. Can't get it done. Pete Gibbons back out in front.
Not going to get the room as they go through 3-4, but look at Gibbons take a look and dive down.
Kevin Dowler moving over, trying to chop him off. Gibbons was right alongside. He had to let him through on the inside, and then the two drivers just about touched going on to Lakeshore Boulevard. So Pete Gibbons, the defending Cascar National Champion, back out in front of the Exide 99 street fight.
And Kevin Dowler is now trying to work his way back in and perhaps just enjoying the view right now as Pete Van der Weest, and there goes Dowler wide. And then he dove under trying to sneak by Peter Gibbons.
Kevin Dowler with more experience here on the Molson Indy track than Pete Gibbons, who's only run a couple of times, gives him a little bit of a tap as they come off of turn 11 and head back across the stripe.
Now watch as they go through this sequence. Here's turn 1 and turn 2, but Gibbons has got lots of room to work.
Dowler a little wider exit off the turn right out to the wall. And 77 Pete Vanderweest. Do not count out Vanderweest. He is an outstanding driver on ovals and on the road courses, and he is in the thick of this battle for the lead and the win.
And now coming up on traffic, this could be an advantage to Dollar to regain the lead. A little smoke braking for Peter Gibbons, but they get through safely. And now this lap traffic, I think, becomes an interesting, as you look at Kerry Mix, he is in a fight with Jim Lapsevich for 4th place.
That is a great fight for 4th and 5th between those two drivers, and the front-running cars are coming up on the 66 car of Robin Buck, who did finally get back out there.
Al Turner's got 3 victories, but not going to make it number 4 in Toronto. He's with Jamie Kellner.
Yes, that 4th victory will not come in Toronto. Al Turner, what happened?
You know, I had a good run on Peter Gibbons coming down the front straight here, and I thought I got up in the side of him, but I guess he didn't see me, and he just kind of closed the door, and instead of driving into the side of Peter, I kind of got cut off and turned into the tires, and it's just one of those racing deals, you know. We're both racing really hard, and had a really good car, and I was hoping to get the blue streak and Trek made its 4th victory, but maybe tried just a little too hard.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks.
And now running bumper to bumper, Gibbons and Dollar. Dollar gave him a little tap as they came through the back end of the course through turns 10 and 11.
And there's the race that was going on. Still 0-2 Kerry Mix, 25 Jim Lapsevich fighting for 4th and 5th. Don Thompson Jr. in the 7th place spot, so he's having a good run. Thompson at this point perhaps more concerned with his championship. And Pete Gibbons has spun at the end of Lakeshore into turn number 3. So Dollar by himself for the moment, a little bit of a gap back to 77 Pete Vanderweest, and then Gibbons in the number 1 car drops to 3rd after the spin.
Well, courage is the call when you get to the end of Lakeshore to make the turn at 3, and that was the problem with Gibbons. He was not able to hold on through braking, and now it is Kevin Dollar.
Let's look at it on replay. Off the end of Lakeshore, Gibbons deep into the turn. The back end comes around right up against the wall. He tapped the wall, not too hard, as Dollar and Vanderweest getting through on the inside. Pete got it turned around, managed to hang on to that 3rd place spot. New 4th place car, 25, Jim Lapsevich, has moved around Kerry Mix, who's been pushed to 5th.
And as we mentioned, we had to watch Pete Vanderweest, who was comfortably in 3rd, and now he is right behind Dollar as Gibbons tries to get back into it. Lapsevich trying to hold off Kerry Mix.
And it looks as though Lapsevich is starting to close on Pete Gibbons. Joe Gonzalez in the 57 car is running in 6th. Don Thompson Jr. 7th. A driver who continues to charge up through the field. DJ Kennington, Rob, started 38. He is celebrating his 23rd birthday here today in Toronto, and he has moved all the way up into 11th. So that is an amazing run by DJ Kennington up into 11th spot at the moment.
And it's just the nature of Cascar racing. You can make the big moves if you're patient and able to work through the field, and that is what Kennington has done. And now look at Pete Vanderweest of St. Thomas, Ontario, put the pressure on Alberta's Kevin Dollar.
Well, this one going to a timed race, and we showed just about 12 minutes or so to go. And so they will not complete the scheduled 36 laps, and Vanderweest is all over Dollar for the lead. Takes a look on the inside. They've already got into contact a couple of times out of turn 11. It's the front-running Ford of Kevin Dollar out of Sherwood Park, Alberta, trying to hold off 77 Pete Vanderweest from St. Thomas, Ontario.
Now for Pete Vanderweest, this is a great opportunity. He liked where he was. He said he was able to get a good lap in. Now it's simply a matter of trying to stay in touch with Dollar and then make the big push. For Pete Gibbons, it is playing a fair bit of giddy-up to try to get back in touch with the lead 2 cars. And look at the lead they've got right now on Dollar.
Pete Gibbons all by himself now in 3rd, and as we said, he is being reeled in by the 25 car of Lapsevich, and Mix 02 also closing. Into turn 3, the Loctite Chevrolet of Pete Vanderweest very much in the hunt for the win. And of course, a year ago out in Calgary, that race will be coming up. And one of the cones is pulled out of the racetrack by the 77 car there of Vanderweest as he got a little bit too tight on the inside of the turn and threw that out on the racetrack.
Al Long has spun around. That's got a yellow out of that corner as Long tries to get it back in the right direction. Pete Vanderweest, who is fighting his way through. The rest of the crowd comes in. There goes Long. The traffic trying to get through. Everybody appears to get through safely. Van der Wees was second in the Eastern standings last year, fourth in the national standings, won his first Super Series feature in Calgary, and has a pole last year in Quebec, so has certainly done the job, and right now is taking dead aim at Dowler, car number 35. Gibbons can't seem to make up the ground, Pat.
Well, he backed that car into the wall. He may have thrown out the rear suspension and set up a little bit, and he's not running quite as quick as he was earlier, and that has allowed 25 Jim Lapcevich out of Hamilton in the Chevrolet to close up, and Lapcevich is all over him for third.
And the racing that you're seeing is every reason why attendance is up through the Cascar circuit. Look at that, bumper to bumper. Lapcevich giving Gibbons a little tap as they go through 3-4. Dowler and Van der Wees have been in contact a couple of times. Exciting racing, and the fans haven't moved. They've enjoyed all of this. They've been through 20 laps. It was scheduled for 36. Now they are fighting the clock, about 10 minutes remaining.
Pete Van der Wees continues to take a look on the inside of Kevin Dowler, trying to find a spot on the racetrack where he can hopefully make a clean pass. But Dowler, very experienced here in Toronto, as we said, not only ran the race here a year ago, but also many years ago when the Old Players Limited GM Motorsports Series ran here, was a competitor for a number of years.
And now Dowler is running into a little problem with some lapped traffic. He's trying to get through. He does with Van der Wees. Then here comes Gibbons. But Gibbons is being pushed incredibly hard now by Jim Lapcevich, who's got him for third.
Outstanding job of outbraking Gibbons into the turn by Jim Lapcevich, as he will put the Chevrolet around Gibbons to take over the third place spot.
Dowler, Van der Wees, Gibbons, Lapcevich, and Kerry Mix, and now roaring through is Dowler, and Lapcevich is trying to close up some ground on Van der Wees. So Lapcevich has made an outstanding charge through the field. He started at 11th. He is now in third. There's Kerry Mix.
Jim Lapcevich may be the fastest car on the racetrack right now. He appears to be catching both Kevin Dowler and 77 Pete Van der Wees. So we have the Ford of Kevin Dowler leading, then Pete Van der Wees in the Chevrolet, Lapcevich in another Chevrolet, as is Gibbons in the number 1 Canadian Tire machine.
Well, Gibbons wasn't able to close that ground on Dowler and Van der Wees, but look at Lapcevich reel him in, and they're going to get a fighting 4 as they come through the final minutes. There's about 7.5 minutes remaining in this timed race.
Well, 77 Van der Wees all over the racetrack through turns 9 and 10, and it appears as though the handling on that car may have gone away. He appears to be really fighting it out there on the racetrack. That's allowed Dowler to pull out a few car lengths, but just as we say that, Van der Wees gathers it back up under braking. Lapcevich is right there, and Gibbons may yet have a shot here at the win.
Watch Lapcevich here, especially if there's a problem with Van der Wees' car. Lapcevich is closing in. Gibbons in control coming down Lakeshore Boulevard. They will make the quick break through 3 and 4. Dowler through. Van der Wees. Lapcevich not able to make up any room. There's Gibbons. And here's Kerry Mix in 5th.
Kerry Mix all by himself here at the moment, 57. Joe Gonzalez still 6th. He's having a great run. Don Thompson Jr. 7th. Ron Beauchamp Jr. in the Mopar Intrepid is 8th. Mark Dilley in the 64 car runs 9th, and rounding out the top 10 at the moment, Dave Jacobs, despite the fact that he had a bit of a spin on the backside of the race course.
Look at Lapcevich as he gets through. Lapcevich has now moved into second place ahead of Pete Van der Wees, using the traffic and finding the room inside.
Well, Father Joe Lapcevich has got to be proud, standing along pit road looking at Jim Lapcevich make this charge. Jim had only done 3 of the previous 6 Eastern races coming in here to Toronto. With the 80% rule that Cascar had instituted for this event, if you didn't run 80% of the races so far, you couldn't start in the top 10. Jim Lapcevich was actually the 4th fastest car in qualifying yesterday. They put him back in 11th starting position, and he's been coming to the front right from the start.
They raced 23 laps, and now look at the battle here again. Van der Wees and Lapcevich. Dowler coming through, makes the break. And it looks like Van der Wees will take second again as he gets by Lapsevich. And Peter Gibbons waiting.
Peter Gibbons right there. Lapsevich not with the horsepower to match Van der Wees as he was able to blow by him on Lakeshore Boulevard. And again, these stock cars are running about 150 miles per hour before they get on the brakes and work down through the gearbox to work back into turn 3.
You might be able to see on the back end of car number 1, Peter Gibbons, he has lost a little bit of his bumper and is dragging, and that may cause him a problem. As coming through the traffic, Dowler. Lapsevich takes a look at Van der Wees that says, I'll wait through the traffic. Oh, a little bump too. And watch Dowler's crew. Each and every time he comes by, they're just enjoying the ride. They know that time is running out. They'd like to see the time go just a little quicker right about now.
Well, 0-4 right in the middle of that lead battle. Andy Farr in the DeWalt Tools Intrepid out of Chesterfield, Michigan, the only American driver in the series, but he has now gone a lap down. 35, Dowler your leader, 77. That is Pete Van der Wees, 25. Jim Lapsevich in the white Chevrolet. Then number 1, Pete Gibbons in the Canadian Tire Chevy. We've got a 4-way fight on the streets of Toronto.
And it is looking good as they get to the final moments. They don't have a lot of time left. And look at Van der Wees. They are waiting, hoping the big boy can make a big move against Kevin Dowler. Dowler leading his way through. Then Van der Wees, Lapsevich in 3rd place, and Peter Gibbons, the defending national champion, in 4th.
Off the end of Lakeshore, 57, Joe Gonzalez. He is at the moment running in 6th. Then Don Thompson Jr., the Home Hardware Chevrolet, in 7th. And it looks like for the moment, Rob, that Thompson is elected to just hang in there, finish in the top 10, pick up the points.
Well, he's the East points leader. He wants to stay in control. He knows that Gibbons closed the gap with the points for pole. And look at Dowler, a little room here as he comes through the final corners, through the start-finish area. Boy, has he opened up some.
They'll be running in traffic here. The cars, of course, these drivers have been racing hard for a long time. Lapsevich on the inside of Van der Wees. He gives him some room. A nice bit of driving by both Pete Van der Wees and 25, Jim Lapsevich.
Turner couldn't do it, but Lapsevich has been able to do it, holding in and getting back into 2nd place. Van der Wees 3rd, there's Peter Gibbons.
On Lakeshore Boulevard, 35, Kevin Dowler coming up on the 98 car of Dave Whitlock. And there was a bit of a problem for 99. Brad Jakes just ahead of the lead pack. And they're going to try to get around both the 99 and the 98 cars. And Dowler will be the first to hit that pair as they work the backside of the race course through turn 6.
We'll keep an eye as well on the flagger to see how time runs for Jim Lapsevich and for Pete Van der Wees. They may have to make their move very quickly. They'll be in contact. They'll know exactly where they stand. Coming through, look at the crowd here. Whitlock kind of blocking off Dowler here, not allowing him to get anything. Then it is Lapsevich. And you see Brad Jakes. Van der Wees works by him, so does Gibbons.
Nice job by Brad Jakes of moving out of the way. Here is Dowler. He'll go in on the inside of Dave Whitlock as Whitlock will go a lap down. Lapsevich in the 25 in contact with Whitlock. Whitlock may not have seen him, but that will cost 25 Jimmy Lapsevich some time.
So Lapsevich has lost about a car, maybe 2-car length to Dowler. Van der Wees is behind him, and then Gibbons is staying in touch for 4th place. But now it simply could be a matter of time for Kevin Dowler.
The run down Lakeshore Boulevard, Jim Lapsevich late braking. He'll close to within about 5 or 6 car lengths. Let's look at that incident between Lapsevich and Dave Whitlock as Whitlock moves to the outside of the racetrack. May not have seen Jimmy Lapsevich. They touch. Both drivers doing a nice job of keeping the cars off the wall.
Fine demonstration of control by both Whitlock and Lapsevich. Lapsevich staying in touch with Dowler. Right behind Jimmy Lapsevich is Pete Van der Wees. Through the back part of the course, they'll make it through the final turns. And time starting to run out. Can Kevin Dowler hold on?
They may be preparing the white last lap flag. Dowler is going right across the curbing in turn 10 as he works off of 11 and onto the start-finish straightaway. Here they work back to the line.
Oh, they're still going to give him one more lap to play. Lapsevich second, then Vanderweest, then Gibbons in fourth, and there's room in between all four racers now.
Not a whole lot has changed here in the top 10 the last couple of laps. Pete Gibbons starting to lose contact with that front-running group here on Lakeshore Boulevard. And Kevin Dowler, 35, with just a little bit of a cushion right now. Dowler into turn number 3 at the end of the long straightaway and trying to hold off Jim Lapsevich, 25, Vanderweest, 77, and Gibbons, number 1.
Coming through now as the leaders seem comfortably ensconced as 1, 2, 3, 4. Mark Dilley in car number 64 is in a battle with DJ Kennington, and the Kennington story is remarkable, as you said, moving from 38th place into 11th.
And he is battling Dilley for that 10th place spot, so that'll be a great run for DJ Kennington if he can pull it off. Jim Lapsevich is all over 35, Kevin Dowler for the lead through turn 9. They head for 10. Again, Dowler right up on the curbing there at the entrance to pit road, working off of 11.
The white flag is going to come out. It looks like this may be the start of the final lap for Dowler. Do they give it him? No, they're going to let him go again one more time around. But they're getting ready for the white and final lap. And the move here, can it be made by Lapsevich?
While DJ Kennington has moved around the NTN bearings forward of Mark Dilley to take over 10th. So an amazing run for DJ Kennington on his 23rd birthday from 38 to 10th. And they would have to be happy with that performance here today, picking up all those positions here in the race.
Now Dowler does not have much of a lead at all. Lapsevich right with him through turn 3 and 4.
And Rob, it looks like Pete Gibbons has lost contact with the front-running 3 cars. He tried to keep it close, but the damage to the back end of the car preventing him from running. Oh, and there is
side by side. Lapsevich has got the lead.
Great move by Jimmy Lapsevich. That is usually not a passing spot on the racetrack, but he was able to muscle that white Monte Carlo.
Oh, look how loose he is. He's gone. He's lost it as Lapsevich couldn't hold on the turn. Dowler's got it again, and their crowd starts to celebrate. Lapsevich rejoins the field. Oh, what a opportunity missed by Lapsevich as he made a brilliant pass. Here comes Dowler through. There is the white flag. There's the final lap here in the Exide 99th Street fight in Toronto.
First there were 4, then there were 3. This one's going to come down to a run between Pete Vanderweest, who may have been playing a waiting game. Number 1, Pete Gibbons back up into 3rd. Lapsevich runs 4th. Kerry Mix is still 5th. So Jim Lapsevich with that miscue back in turn 8 went from 1st to 4th. There he is, a great run for Lapsevich, but that ended any shot at the win. Vanderweest, can he reel him in with less than a lap to go? Off the end of Lakeshore Boulevard, Pete Vanderweest to within 2 car lengths.
What a show by the Cascar drivers here. We've seen changes of lead, we've seen some challenges, and right now the challenge is by Pete Vanderweest. Can he get by Kevin Dowler? Dowler will do his best just to try to hold him off, but this isn't like oval racing. You've got to make sure you make those turns, and there's a lot of concrete to deal with.
Through turn 6 and 7, 2 lightning fast right-handers at the end of the back straightaway. This is where Lapsevich had the problem. Vanderweest still about 5 or 6 car lengths back. Dowler, if he can just keep it pointed straight here for the next 2 or 3 corners, he is going to win perhaps one of his biggest road races off of turn 11. Kevin Dowler.
He's going to do it. Kevin Dowler of Alberta has come to the east and takes the checkered flag in the Exide 99 street fight, holding off Pete Vanderweest at the tail end. Peter Gibbons was able to stay in touch, and for Gibbons in 3rd place. Jim Lapsevich, who had that tough luck on that last lap actually, in 4th place. 5th place belongs to Kerry Mix. But a demonstration of why this kind of racing is gaining such a huge audience. The Cascar drivers came out, and it was Kevin Dowler of Alberta who finished it up.
Well, it makes the long trip here to Toronto all worth it. Dowler, Vanderweest, Gibbons, Lapsevich, and Kerry Mix, your top 5.
It was fun to watch. Rounding out the top 10, we'll talk to the champion in Toronto when we return to the Exide 99 Street Fight.
Imagine a battery so rugged it can survive virtually any obstacle that the road throws at it. Exide Orbital, a new era in automotive battery technology. Just how tough is the Exide Orbital? Well, we've subjected it to the ultimate torture test. Physically abused, left unused for months, even punctured. You know it will start your vehicle if it will still start this 750 horsepower engine. The Exide Orbital battery, virtually indestructible.
Every time you turn your key, just think of what Blue Streak has gone through to make sure your car starts and stays running.
Blue Streak ignition products. Designed and built tough.
Blue Streak. It's about heartbreak. It's about history. Above all, it's about heroes. Cayuga 2000 Speedway. The crown jewel is back. Cayuga2000Speedway.com.
Imagine a battery so rugged it can survive virtually any obstacle that the road throws at it. Exide Orbital, a new era in automotive battery technology. Just how tough is the Exide Orbital? Well, we've subjected it to the ultimate torture test. Physically abused, left unused for months, even punctured. You know it will start your vehicle if it will still start this 750 horsepower engine. The Exide Orbital battery, virtually indestructible.
CTV Sportsnet's presentation of the Exide 99 Street Fight is brought to you by Exide and by Castrol. Well, I think this is probably fitting. Maybe a quick dip before they hand out the prizes at the Exide 99 Street Fight. And there he is, the champion. Boy, what a race Kevin Dowler put on. He came here for a reason. I think he's posted notice that there could be a little noise coming from the west.
Well, I think absolutely. There's Kevin, and of course, coming off the win, they're going to be out in droves at Edmonton. Next weekend, we'll be taking on a lot of these same Eastern drivers as we kick off the Cascar National Championship. Again, that'll be out at the Edmonton City Center Airport for the bumper-to-bumper 250.
So they get a road test in the Nationals. They have the 2 roads, 2 ovals, but this certainly puts Dowler in great position as he was in a battle with Carl Haar for first place in the West. He'll have those points. Plus, it just deflects his muscle. He made a point that this year he was going to come to the East early, get some early racing in, then go to the West. He picked up a victory, and look at that, the checkered flag for Dowler.
Kevin Dowler absolutely ecstatic about his run, and of course he worked for that every inch of the way. He was challenged by Gibbons. Al Turner got up there to give him a strong run. Pete Van der Wees, and of course Jimmy Lapsevich at the end. What a pass Lapsevich meant. Here he is after taking the lead from Dowler, gets into turn 8 too hot, locks up the brakes down the escape road. There's his crew. They saw him lose the lead. And then they look at the screen about a couple of corners later. Lapsevich makes the miscue, and the Dowler crew rejoicing as he retakes the lead and holds it to the checkered flag.
And the crowd stuck around to watch an entertaining Cascar race. This is the second time they've raced at the Molson Indy, and I think they've certainly proven that they are fan favorites. So for Kevin Dowler, he came east and proved a point. In second place was was Pete Van der Wees after Lapsevich couldn't handle that one turn. And now joining the champion is Jamie Campbell.
Kevin Dowler, you've come all this way to win in Toronto. It must feel wonderful.
Yeah, it does. Our Ford Quality Care Taurus was awesome all day. We had tons of brake left for him at the end, and I knew when Pete got by, I was watching him in my mirror earlier in the race, and he was just gaining on me under braking. Well, that's not going to do anything. He shut off the other leg shower, and then same with Jimmy Lapsevich. So it's a it's a tough race, but I'm really excited. I want to say hi to my wife and kids back in Edmonton, and I miss them.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, the party will start in Toronto, but you can feel repercussions all the way to Edmonton, Alberta. Dowler wins the Exide 99 Street Fight. Coming up next, Epson Cup Pacific Rim Rugby, Canada against Japan. That's on CTV Sportsnet. It was an entertaining race. Dowler takes the checkerboard for Jamie Campbell and Pat Gonzalez. I'm Rob Faulds. Take care, everybody.